Alrighty. We're back with another evening of Dark MAGA, where we still cover the conservative news, but we add a little pizzang to it, baby. We maybe act a little bit nuts, a little bit crazy, but now's the time to do it. Now's the time to air out all your grievances in the chat, folks, because that's what it's all about. Dark MAGA is where we go dark, baby. It's where we voice our opinions. We cover long-form video. It might be the White House press briefing. It could be Stephen Miller smacking the crap out of the media. It could be Donald Trump doing his rallies. That's what you have to wonder. What are we going to get into here? But it's good seeing all of you in the chat. Appreciate you joining me this fine evening. Well, what do I have queued up for you all? We're going back to our roots, folks. We're going back where places are packed. Gloves are going ready to be made. This is where history is broken. Do you notice how I just flipped that for all of you? I'm trying to see who's paying attention there. We're keeping it light. We're keeping it moody. We got today's White House press briefing, baby, and we got everybody. We got the big guns in the room. You got Peter Doocy of Fox News, the Gladiator, baby. Philip Wegman's down here, right behind me. He's right here. He's the other Gladiator. Oh, and now I messed everything up. Now I got to fix it. See, this is what happens in Dark MAGA. This is how you know it's live, is that I'm screwing things up here. Well, let's see how things go with today's White House press briefing, because I heard it's a little bit snappy. I heard people were really laying in the work. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Wow, a packed room today. Last night, the Trump administration faced another example of judicial overreach. Using his full and proper legal authority, President Trump imposed universal tariffs and reciprocal tariffs on Liberation Day to address the extraordinary threat to our national security and economy posed by large and persistent annual U.S. goods trade deficits. The United States has run a trade deficit of goods every year since 1975. In 2024, our trade deficit in goods exceeded $1 trillion. Everybody...
I'm a little out of breath. Caroline, you okay, girl? She's a little winded, isn't she?
Agrees this is unacceptable. President Trump is delivering on his promise to fix this problem, and he has taken a long overdue and much needed bold stance for American workers after decades of our manufacturing base being hollowed out. The president's rationale for imposing these powerful tariffs was legally sound and grounded in common sense. President Trump correctly believes that America cannot function safely long-term if we are unable to scale advanced domestic manufacturing capacity, have our own secure critical supply chains, and our defense industrial base is dependent on foreign adversaries. 3 judges of the U.S. Court of International Trade disagreed and brazenly abused their judicial power to usurp the authority of President Trump to stop him from carrying out the mandate that the American people gave him. These judges failed to acknowledge that the President of the United States has core foreign affairs powers and authority given to him by Congress to protect the United States economy and national security. Congress had created the National Emergency Act to provide the congressional framework to strike down improper IEEPA use. And any questions over whether President Trump improperly imposed these IEEPA tariffs were already adjudicated in Congress following Liberation Day. Congress firmly rejected an effort led by Senator Rand Paul and Democrats to terminate the president's reciprocal tariffs. The courts should have no role here. There is a troubling and dangerous trend of unelected judges inserting themselves into the presidential decision-making process. America cannot function if President Trump, or any other president for that matter, has their sensitive diplomatic or trade negotiations railroaded by activist judges. President Trump is in the process of rebalancing America's trading agreements with the entire world, bringing tens of billions of dollars in tariff revenues to our country, and finally ending the United States of America from being ripped off. These judges are threatening to undermine the credibility of the United States on the world stage. The administration has already filed an emergency motion for a stay pending appeal and an immediate administrative stay to strike down this egregious decision. But ultimately, the Supreme Court must put an end to this for the sake of our Constitution and our country. With Congress returning next week, it's critical that Senate Republicans maintain the momentum and quickly pass the One Big Beautiful Bill. The One Big Beautiful Bill will truly make America safe and prosperous. The One Big Beautiful Bill includes the largest border security investment ever. That's why the law enforcement groups are lining up to encourage its swift passage. The National Fraternal Order of Police, the largest police union in the country, just endorsed key provisions of the bill. The FOP president announced their strong support, saying the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is more than legislation. It is a promise kept to the public safety officers across the country and a bold step toward an economy that respects, rewards, and uplifts the people who keep it safe. And the National Border Patrol Council, which represents nearly 20,000 Border Patrol agents, hailed the legislation as well. The group's president said this legislation provides a once-in-a-generation investment in the border security of our great country and will make America safer. The One Big Beautiful Bill will guarantee we can permanently have the safest, strongest, and most secure immigration system in American history. I also want to take the opportunity to debunk some false claims that have been circulating in the press about this bill.
Oh, here we go. Calling them out. Let's do it, baby. Now, here we go. Just want to point out and bring back a suggestion that I mentioned many, many weeks ago, that if she's going to call out the media, she needs to start throwing outlets' names out there, as well as people's names. And if it's people in the room, she needs to look at them dead in the eye and call their tushies out. Here we go.
The blatantly wrong claim that the One Big Beautiful Bill increases the deficit is based on the Congressional Budget Office and other scorekeepers who use shoddy assumptions and have historically been terrible at forecasting across Democrat and Republican administrations alike. For example, just before Congress enacted the original Trump tax cuts at the end of 2017, the same CBO projected that growth would average a mere 1.9% over the next 10 years. However, by 2019, actual growth had surged to 3.4% once the Trump tax cuts went into effect, exceeding the CBO forecast by nearly 2 full percentage points. The CBO's latest forecast makes the same anemic growth assumptions as they did in 2017, missing the impact of the One Big Beautiful Bill. The CBO assumes long-term GDP growth of an anemic 1.8%, and that is absurd. The American economy is going to boom like never before after the One Big Beautiful Bill is passed. The largest middle-class tax cut in history, massive deregulation, and the most aggressive domestic energy exploration ever will fuel small businesses, further boost private investment, increase workers' wages, and supercharge economic growth. The Council of Economic Advisors has factored in the effects of all these pro-growth policies and estimated in their own analysis that growth will average 3% in the long run after the One Big Beautiful Bill is passed, which is nearly double the ridiculous CBO projection. This higher growth would result in $4.1 trillion in additional revenue over the next 10 years. Between the common sense spending reforms—
What a snoozer, Caroline, sweet Jesus!
—contained in the One Big Beautiful Bill—
What happened? Jeez, woman, you're putting us to sleep. God, I love you, but sweet, can we spice this up a little bit, add a little pizzazz? The hell?
And the robust economic growth that will be generated as a result of it, there will be no increase to the deficit. The same analysis from the CEA shows just how this historic package will unleash prosperity and ignite a blue-collar boom across America. But if the radical Democrats get their way and the One Big Beautiful Bill does not pass, Americans will face a whopping $4 trillion tax hike. This is unacceptable to President Trump. President Trump will not allow Democrats to massively raise Americans' taxes. Senate Republicans must get this bill passed. The failure is not an option. The American people are counting on Republicans to deliver. In other news, despite all the doom casting from the media, Americans are growing more and more optimistic about the economy under this president. Consumer confidence surged in May with the biggest monthly jump in 4 years, smashing expectations. According to the release from the Consumer Confidence Index, the increase in confidence was broad-based across all age groups, income groups, and political affiliations. Our country is clearly heading in the right direction under President Trump's bold leadership. For the first time in history of Rasmussen polling, a majority of Americans believe the country is on the right track. It's unsurprising because the president is fulfilling the promises he made to the American people. Here in our new media seat today, we have the editor-in-chief of The Federalist, Molly Hemingway. The Federalist is led by Molly and Sean Davis and provides fearless journalism and coverage of politics and culture to millions of readers all over the world. Thank you for being here, Molly, and why don't you please kick us off?
Thank you.
All right, everybody calm your asses down. Wake up. She's done talking. Now we get into the real stuff here. I want to make sure I update you guys on a couple things. So you might be wondering, well, because this takes place at a certain time of day. Okay, news changes. Things are snappy under the Trump administration. You got to keep up. You're like, well, okay, so they said Trump can't do the tariffs. But then I'm hearing people said he can do the tariffs. So which is it, Brad? Shit, I'm fucking confused. Can he do the tariffs or can he? All right, well, let me break it down for you. Shit, calm down. Jeez. So, on May 28th, for those that don't know what's happening right now, today's the 29th. Welcome. The U.S. Court of International Trade ruled that President Trump exceeded his authority by imposing broad tariffs on imports from U.S. trading partners. The court determined that the Constitution grants Congress, not the president, the exclusive power to regulate international commerce. Specifically, the court found that the International Emergency Economic Powers Act does not authorize the president to unilaterally impose such sweeping tariffs. Now, today's a whole new day. Things change. However, today, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit Court temporarily stayed the lower court's ruling. This means that the tariffs remain in effect while the appeals court considers the government's appeal. The court has set a deadline for the plaintiffs to respond by June 5th, for the administration to reply by June 9th. Now, the current status of all this, if that didn't make jack bleeping sense to you, well, that's okay. It's been a long day for all of us. Let me explain. As of now, the tariffs are still in place due to the appeals court's stay. The legal battle continues. Now, if you want my opinion on all of this, let me give you my opinion. Donald Trump is wrong. The courts are right. And I'll tell you why. What took place by the courts here is they are correct that the president used the International Emergency Powers Act, the Economic Powers Act of 1977, which gives the president the power to, quote, regulate imports during certain emergency situations. The problem is that Trump doesn't really have that power right now to utilize international trade and impose tariffs utilizing the Economic Powers Act. I think he's going to lose, folks. They found that the president overstepped his authority by imposing across the board duties of imports from U.S. trading partners. But remember, those emergency situations that were imposed by Donald Trump, who obviously I'm a fan of, but I told you I'm not going to bullshit you guys straight to your face just because we're Trump supporters. Those emergency situations do not actually extend to issues such as trade deficit. Big trade deficits do not amount to a national emergency, unfortunately. That's what the courts found. And I hate to tell you, I think the courts were right. I think Donald Trump's going to lose this one. I could be wrong. That's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. But I thought about it today, did some research, and well, it is what it is. We'll see. Maybe the courts will find Donald Trump right. I don't think that's going to happen, so we shouldn't be surprised. And I hate to say it, usually we're correct here on the show. Usually we are. We'll see. But here we go.
Caroline.
Thank you.
In the first Trump administration, there was an effort to stymie the agenda of Trump through the Russia collusion hoax perpetuated by many people in the media, including some people seated here, or the media outlets they represent.
And what do we do here on the Bald Brad Show? We don't just say, well, those that are fucking sitting in those seats, they're the ones that caused it. It was fucking you from CNN, you bitch. Sorry, calm down. It was you, Zeke from the Associated Press. You were one of them. Yeah, I'm looking at you, scumbag. You got this guy in the back. What's up, Baldy? Yeah, you were the guy that contributed this too, you little sucker. I forgot your name, though. I'd call you out, right? You start doing that with everybody. That's what should be happening. And you're damn right that's what I would do. I'd get a little feisty in there. Right? I'll throw a few punches. I don't care.
And other Democrats as well. The second Trump administration, to reference what you said at the beginning, seems to be subject to an effort to stymie the agenda using rogue lower court judges. You mentioned that the Supreme Court could and should do something to rein in these lower court judges. Also, Congress could do something about it, but they don't seem terribly interested in it. It also seems there's not much of an actual coordinated effort from this White House to take and tackle this effort from judges, Democrats and other people using these judges to stymie the agenda. Is there an actual effort by this White House to tackle this issue in a comprehensive way? And if so, what is it?
There is an effort by this administration to tackle these rogue judges and the injunctions and the blockades that we have faced in our broken judicial system in every case. I mean, we have seen time and time again these lower district court judges ruling against this administration in the president's basic executive authority and powers. And this administration is fighting every single one of those battles in court, including already the block that came down from the tariff court, the IEPA court last night. And as on my way out here to the briefing room, I understand that there was another district court judge right here in Washington, D.C. who ruled against the president's tariff power. And I will get to the heart of your question, and I'm glad that we are addressing this in the room today, because nationwide injunctions ordered against the first Trump administration, Trump 1.0, account for more than half of the injunctions issued in this country since 1963. And President Trump had more injunctions in one full month of office in February than Joe Biden had in 3.
All right, we got to make sure that we do a pause here because we got Patriots coming in hot and supporting the show, which I appreciate. Eric Birch with the $5, always supporting the show. It's been around for a long time. Shout out to you, my friend. Hey, Patriot family. Hey, back to you, good sir. And then we got Danielle with the $10, also a longtime supporter for the swear jar. And she posted an actual emoji of a jar, which I didn't even know was a thing. So not only shout out to you for the contribution, but shout out for you for knowing that there's a swear jar emoji inside your phone. That is awesome. Here we go. Thank you.
3 years. And let me roll through some of these radical injunctions to paint the picture for the American people at home. These are not just talking points. These are real judges in the court of law who are trying to block the president's power and the policies that he was elected to enact. For example, a court ordered the Trump administration to return already deported terrorist aliens back to the United States. A court has ruled the Trump administration can't even temporarily pause our refugee programs. Courts prohibited the Trump administration from eliminating federal funding for child transgender surgery and mutilation, a practice that the American people overwhelmingly reject. A court also held that the Trump administration could not ban people experiencing gender dysphoria or mental health issues from serving in the military. Ridiculous. Courts prohibited the removal of transgender women from women's prisons despite potential physical harm to real women in those prisons, biological women. A Northern District of California judge issued an absurd ruling that the president cannot fire people within the executive branch without Congress passing a bill, even though Congress has expressly authorized the president through the Office of Personnel Management to authorize reductions in force across agencies. A court also ordered the Trump administration to rehire thousands of already fired employees in several cases. A federal judge blocked the Trump administration from defunding the Department of Education, another signature campaign promise that this president has the power to implement. Courts ordered the Trump administration could not eliminate funding for illegal DEI programs, hence the word illegal. These are illegal programs to begin with, and now the courts are trying to say this president can't roll them back. And a district court judge prohibited the president from issuing any categorical funding freezes. And then another court ordered on top of that the administration makes $2 billion of payments in 36 hours. These are.
Now, I just want to point out she needs to be careful doing stuff like this. I'm all for it, by the way. I want to be clear. This is exactly what she should be doing. But she also needs to be prepared to defend every single one of these in front of the press as to why the courts got them wrong. The court is going to be wrong at times. Obviously, we would hope that they wouldn't be, but we have to live in reality. And there's going to be times that they were right. And again, I hate to say it, I do think they were right regarding the tariffs. You do not want that power given to a single person in our government that could decide what tariffs go here and what tariffs go there, utilizing some emergency act that doesn't actually give them the power to do it. And I don't necessarily think this is Trump's fault. I think Trump, and I could be wrong here, this is what my hypothesis is that he's utilizing the executive branch in such a way that he's trying to figure out how much power does this branch actually have. And with checks and balances, this is what you're going to have. I think sometimes the courts gets them wrong. Sometimes I think the court gets them right. You guys might disagree with me, but I think if you really do look into the International Emergency Economic Powers Act that Trump is utilizing, I think you will find yourself that he just doesn't have the authority to do what he's doing under that would actually lie under Congress's purview. So we'll see. Again, I could be wrong, but man, do I feel pretty confident in my take on that. Just a heads up. Now, I guess everybody feels confident in what their opinion is, but sometimes you do have an opinion. We're like, hey, I'm not really sure. This can go either way. I really do think Trump is wrong here, guys. I'm just going to be. And by the way, it would make sense in the way that the founding fathers created their government is by making sure that those that have the keys to the purse, which is Congress, are the ones that decide that. Again, you don't want any president to be able to unilaterally decide that there should be massive tariffs across the board on all American trading partners. That is not the balance of powers that was envisioned under the Constitution by the founders, by the framers. So we'll see, though. Again, we'll see. Well, clearly we got about a week and a half till we'll find out here.
Just a few of the ridiculous orders that we have seen from lower district court judges every day, and we hope that the Supreme Court will weigh in and rein them in.
But White House advisor Stephen Miller says it's judicial tyranny. Some people are calling it a judicial coup. You're saying you're responding to each and every one of these actions, efforts by these judges to delay or thwart the implementation of the agenda. But is there going to be anything more than that, or is it just going to let this operation continue, even though it could delay everything for years until the presidency is over?
The administration is operating under the directive given to from the president that we need to comply with the court's orders. He's made that very clear, but we're going to fight them in court, and we're going to win on the merits of these cases because we know we are acting within the president's legal and executive authorities. And thanks for being here. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Question on tariffs, but first actually some foreign policy news, some breaking news. Some local Israeli media is reporting that Prime Minister Netanyahu told hostage families that he's accepted a 60-day truce offer. So can you confirm, have Israel and Hamas agreed to a truce?
I can confirm that Special Envoy Witkoff and the president submitted a ceasefire proposal to Hamas that Israel backed and supported. Israel signed off on this proposal before it was sent to Hamas. I can also confirm that those discussions are continuing, and we hope that a ceasefire in Gaza will take place so we can return all of the hostages home, and that's been a priority from this administration from the beginning. I won't comment further as we are in the midst of this right now.
Y'all remember when Joe Biden crafted a ceasefire deal without Israel's involvement? You guys remember that one? I'm coming out. I got you new. Who are you? You smell nice. How old are you? You smell 9. Sorry, 8. I mean 9, 8, 8.5. I'll come in the middle. Come on. Work with me here. Ice cream. You smell like ice cream. I'm so sorry. Dude, honestly, I think my Biden impression might be better than my Trump impression. What the hell was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So Joe Biden. I'm glad you guys are able to join me while I crack myself up. Thanks for joining me as I entertain myself here. Remember when Joe Biden didn't involve Israel in the peace negotiations, and he comes out and he goes, well, we got a ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel. And Israel comes out going, what the hell are you talking about? What the fuck? Like, we had no involvement in this. What? Like, who? What? No, we're not following this, you stupid imbecile. Y'all remember that?
Clear, you don't know if Hamas has accepted it yet.
Not to my knowledge, but certainly if that becomes the case and this ceasefire goes into effect, you'll hear it directly from myself, the president, or Special Envoy Witkoff.
And, on tariffs, Kevin Hassett earlier this morning, he brushed off a legal ruling and called it a hiccup. And he said that trade deal negotiations would continue. Why would other countries continue these trade deal negotiations given the ruling?
Because other countries around the world have faith in the negotiator-in-chief, President Donald J. Trump. And they also
Negotiator-in-chief.
probably see how ridiculous this ruling is, and they understand that the administration is going to win, and we intend to win. We already filed an emergency appeal. We expect to fight this battle all the way to the Supreme Court. These other countries should also know, and they do know, that the president reserves other tariff authorities, Section 232, for example, to ensure that America's interests are being restored around the world. But I can confirm that our ambassador for trade, Jamison Greer, already heard from countries around the world this morning who said they intend to continue with these negotiations. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. So many of the president's
So the only way, just so you guys are clear, because I see you guys talking about it in the chat, the only way that I think Donald Trump and his administration is going to be right here is if the International Economic Emergency Powers Act, or Emergency Economic Powers Act, allows the president to take action when there is in fact a quote unusual and extraordinary threat. So I see you guys talking about it in the chat, but it has to be a threat to national security, foreign policy, or economy of the economy of the United States. Now, the reason why I say that is because what Trump is utilizing here is a broad view of what this emergency powers is. And so Trump's argument would be that these massive trade imbalances themselves, intellectual property theft that we see from the Chinese, and dependency on foreign manufacturing, particularly from, quote, like these strategic adversaries like China, Russia, and other people, constitute a threat to national security and economic sovereignty. I guess that would be the angle they would have to go with. But still, this is not really a fringe argument. It's one of those that have gained bipartisan support under context, especially post-COVID. So I think he's going to have a tough time because she's talking about these different sections where Congress has already delegated enormous power to the executive branch. So let's go over these really quick. So this is what I was pulling up while she was talking. You have Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, which allows tariffs for national security reasons. And then you have Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, which allows tariffs in response to unfair trade practices. And then you have the IEEPA, which is what we've been talking about, this Economic Powers Act, allows action during national emergencies. But he's utilizing it under EPA, which is what he believes a national emergency. That's the part that needs to be cleared up by the Trump administration and the courts. So if he can make a claim as to the national security and everything I just listed, then yeah, he's going to be right. Oh boy, is that broad. I don't know, folks. And look, the courts already don't like him. So let's put our fucking money in. Who's going to talk some shit? All right, here we go. Come on, before we continue here, because we have the Gladiator coming up next, Peter Doocy of Fox News, one of the greats, and hopefully Phil back here gets a question in, but we're going to come to that real quick. Hold on one second. I'm going to duke it out with you guys. Come on, put them up. Here we go. I got to figure out how we're going to do this. Take out your wallets. Everybody donate $10. I'm kidding. What I really mean is, fucking Jason, as I'm talking about donating money. Hold on, I got to read this and then we'll get to it. I apologize for the interruptions. Everybody calm down. All right, I got to take a deep breath because this is how Jason wants it read. I know my boy. Jason comes in with the $5 to Dark MAGA, the podcast, and he goes, Dark motherfucking MAGA Patriots. Woo! That is a lot of energy for $5. I appreciate that, sir. Always coming in hot. Now, all right. Thank you. Do you think Donald Trump is going to be able to prove himself correct in all of this based on everything I just told you? So put a yes in the chat that you think Donald Trump is going to be able to utilize this Emergency Powers Act to deal with the tariffs. Like, you think he's actually going to be able to build a case and you think that he has the authority to do so, or no, he doesn't have the authority and he's going to lose it. Now, remove your bias, okay? We're all Trump lovers here. Look, nobody's judging you. But look, I'll be fair. We were split decision. And by split decision this morning regarding Tom Homan meeting your expectations, it was me versus all of you. And it might happen again. What the hell, Cindy? Mic cracked. Of course, I put all my effort into it. Of course it cracked. Or maybe it was my voice. Maybe Joey's the one that smelled. Maybe I'm the one that smells like ice cream. He was smelling me like an 8-year-old. That was weird. What the hell? You guys are drunk. Everybody's yes. Get the. All of you, not a single person's on my side here. Well, fucking A. What's happening to me? Am I losing my touch like I'm losing my hair? This is for the extra energy, and yes, Trump wins. For the $5. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Look, okay. All right. Okay. Look, we were all here. We were all here on May 29th. Somebody's going to be right. It's either your host, Bald Brad, or it's the Bald Brad Army. Because every one of you said yes. Okay. All right. Oh, fuck me. So what are we going to do when I come back on the 9th and I have the full hour-long morning show going, fuck you, I was right. Or I guess we have to have a full hour-long show of everybody writing, fuck you, Brad, we were right. That will be a fun one, wouldn't it? And you guys would love that. I know you would eat that up. Giving like me the bird at the TV. Fuck you. All right, enough of me talking. Here we go. Peter Ducey's up. Let's do this.
Plans right now are being blocked by.
Hell of a dress, by the way. I'm sorry. You would think I would notice that already, but holy Lord, let's go back. I apologize. Did you see that dress?
Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. So many of the president's plans right now are being blocked by courts. If the courts are going to be the ones who are shaping policy, does the president wish he would have just become a judge instead?
I think the president would take this job over being a judge, and certainly the president is acting within his authority. He wishes judges would do the same.
But so the courts are basically telling you guys they think that the White House's policies, the president's policies, are in some way against the law. So why can't President Trump ask the Republicans that control the House and the Republicans that control the Senate just to make a new law?
Well, these laws have already been granted to the president by the Constitution and by laws that have been previously passed. I'll give you another example. For instance, we've been blocked in court for the revocation of visas from individuals who have the privilege of studying in the United States of America. Secretary of State Rubio has simply used his authority to revoke those visas, to revoke that privilege, and we've seen the courts try to block that. So if these judges want to be the Secretary of State or they want to be the president, they can run for office themselves. It should be the other way around. But all of the actions the president has taken rely on legal authorities that have already been granted to him by our nation's existing laws.
By the way, perfect answer. That was a well-crafted response. Now, and I want to say it was well-crafted because she utilized an argument that's 100% in her favor in terms of Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, being able to utilize his powers to revoke visas. Now, some of you came a little bit late. I'm not going to call anybody out here, Danielle. Just kidding. Danielle's probably on time. We love her. She's been around for a while. But she asked, why do I say no? Again, I think because the emergency situations that are currently in place under Donald Trump, it's not that I don't think Donald Trump has the power to do it. It depends on how he's crafting it. So if he's crafting it based on what I was telling to you guys, that if he's able to craft the narrative around, I'll make sure I get this correctly. If he crafts it around that commerce is in fact unusual and an extraordinary threat to national security, if Trump can prove that, and that it originates in whole or substantial part outside of the United States, this law was not originally intended to address trade deficits. So that's what I think he's going to have a problem with, and why I think he's wrong, because emergency situations don't actually extend to issues such as the trade deficit itself. Big trade deficits do not amount to a national security. That's what he's going to have to prove. It's not me. So that's why I think he's going to have a very difficult time in the court proving that these emergency situations do in fact elicit him the powers to mess with the trade, obviously extending to tariffs themselves. And so I think he's going to have a tough time proving that. I really do. And if he's able to prove that this national security is in fact able to go into this, then he's going to be right. I just think it all comes down to how the courts are going to do it. We got Q, who is here with us and is a paralegal with the $20. Holy sweet Jesus, girl. Thank you very much. It's been a minute since I've donated, been focusing on paying off debt because you inspire me. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Q. Hell yeah. Well, what the hell are you doing? Just, well, hopefully you're able to pay off all your debt instead of giving it to a knucklehead like me, but I appreciate that nonetheless. That means a lot to me, and we're all rooting for you to get out of debt, budget, get that piece of paper out. You've Dave Ramsey, and good for you. Hell yeah, I appreciate that. Brad, have faith. He will be able to enforce it. You guys know I'm a pessimist, but that's why I love you guys. You keep me optimistic. That's why we need you guys around. So we'll see. But see what's nice here about it. Can I just highlight? I know Peter Ducey's with the, I know. But this is what Dark Mag is about. Look at the community we have. You legitimately have everybody in the chat. Literally everybody, by the way. There wasn't a single person that sided with my ass. So what the fuck, by the way? But we still get along. You know what I mean? Like, you notice nothing happens. It's like, okay, everybody in the chat versus the guy that hosts the show has a different viewpoint. And life goes on. Nothing happens. We still get along. We screw around. We have a good time, right? By the way, a lot of people don't have that kind of community built. We do. And I respect your guys' opinion. I'm not going like, oh, fuck. I joke around when I go, oh, fuck you, you're wrong, right? Like, you guys obviously know me well enough where I'm joking when I say that to be silly. But, yeah, I respect the opinion. I think you guys could be right, to be fair. You very well could be right. But I'm most likely right. But you get what I'm saying, all right? God. I swear you know what? I got to stop making myself laugh because it seems a little bit serial killer-ish, doesn't it? Yeah, a little weird. All right, here we go. Here we go.
Different topic. There's some folks in President Biden's inner circle who are now...
By the way, Ouija's looking good. Ouija's looking really good. I don't know what happened to these two, but...
in talks with Republicans in Congress to give interviews about how they may have handled President Biden's decline. Is the president satisfied with aides only sitting for these transcribed interviews, or would he also like to see some kind of testimony from the former First Lady, Dr. Biden?
I think, frankly, the former First Lady should certainly speak up about what she saw in regards to her husband and when she saw it and what she knew. Because I think anybody looking, again, at the videos and photo evidence of Joe Biden with your own eyes and a little bit of common sense can see this was a clear cover-up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jill Biden was certainly complicit in that cover-up. There's documentation, video evidence of her clearly shielding her husband away from the cameras. They were just on The View last week. She was saying everything is fine. She's still lying to the American people. She still thinks the American public are so stupid that they're going to believe her lies. And frankly, it's insulting, and she needs to answer for it.
It's really insulting. And by the way, we just showed you the clip, like, was it last week, of Joe Biden and Jill Biden on The View when she was like, the guy's a workhorse. He worked 24/7, never gave up, was really in it till the end. Like, almost talking like she's giving a eulogy of the guy right in front of him. Yeah, he's a little spunky. We couldn't keep up with the guy. I mean, I embellished that a little bit, but not by much. That's basically what she was saying, gaslighting the crap out of everybody. And then all the little randos on The View, the psychos go, oh yeah, oh, everybody clap for Joe. As Joe's sitting up there trying to hold in a fart. Bat's out here with the $20. You guys are popping off today with the donations. I don't know what is going on, but I appreciate it. Thank you, God. Wow. Everybody here. Thank you. Is it because you guys feel bad for me that it's everybody versus me because I'm the victim? Should I just play the victim more? Is this how the left feels? Isn't the issue that the Chinese would trade and threatened us as being the largest country, putting us at risk for needed manufacturing items? And I think, again, that goes back into and that's why I mentioned China specifically. I mean, I kind of screwed around doing it. I was like, oh, it's China. But it is true. I mean, they steal about $1 trillion of intellectual property. I think it's every year, every 4 years or something like that. And that's something Donald Trump's all he has to do is he's the one that has to prove that this all fits under this act. And if he's able to do it, then he's going to get the authority. But if he's not able to show the proof and the evidence that this all fits, then I think he's going to have a tough time because it's broad. And so, mind you, this is going to set precedents for future presidents in the future. So, I mean, it's kind of a big deal, right? Because can you imagine Joey coming in going, all right, fuck everything. I'm gonna just do this. And then you get some idiot out there on the Democrat side of the aisle that wants to, act like a knucklehead. So we'll see. I mean, like, they're all knuckleheads at the end of the day anyways, right? Congress are knuckleheads, and that's me being polite. But again, I think you all bring up great points. It's just something that he's going to have to prove in court.
Ouija.
Thank you, Caroline. President Trump was asked what he thought about Elon Musk's claim that the big, beautiful bill increases the budget deficit and undermines the work of DOGE. And the president didn't actually comment on those remarks. He just talked about the need to support the bill. So what does the president think about what Elon Musk said?
Well, the president is very proud of the one big beautiful bill, and he wants to see it pass. He wants the Senate to get to work on it and send it to his desk as quickly as possible. Of course, as you know, Elon Musk announced last night his departure as an official special government employee from the Trump administration. We thank him for his service. We thank him for getting DOGE off of the ground, and the efforts to cut waste, fraud, and abuse will continue.
So he doesn't have any comment about Musk saying it adds to the deficit and it undermines all his work?
The president commented on this. I commented on it. I told you that this bill saves $1.6 trillion according to the Council of Economic Advisors and the analyses that the president believes in. So he gave a comment. I gave a comment. Just because you don't like that comment doesn't mean it's not a comment. Rachel.
Oh, she knew she had a good one there. Oh, she liked that.
Caroline, back on trade, I know you said the White House is going to fight this ruling in court. Is the administration actively reviewing other avenues, other options to carry out the president's trade policy?
The president's trade policy will continue. We will comply with the court orders, but yes, the president has other legal authorities where he can implement tariffs. However, it does not dispute the fact that the president was right to declare a national emergency when it came to fentanyl and when it came to our crippling deficits and the lack of critical supply chains here at home. That is the reasoning for the president's tariffs. And the court didn't dispute those facts, by the way. And there have been other courts that have reaffirmed the president's position. In fact, a ruling in federal court earlier this month shows that the administration is in the right, said we will win on appeal. A federal district judge in Florida ruled that IEEPA, in fact, does grant the president the authority to unilaterally impose tariffs. And 20 years ago, I will add, they are not a court.
I just know you guys are fucking sitting there going, huh. What about that shit, Brad? Yeah, you listen to that, you little scumbag, right? You listening, Brad? Huh? Other people think he has the authority.
New York Times editorial board responded to the January 2005 trade deficit of $58.3 billion by writing an editorial entitled Dangerous Deficits. And since then, our trade deficit has more than doubled. The U.S. trade deficit in January totaled a whopping $131.4 billion. So people on both sides of the aisle, pundits, lawyers, legal scholars, politicians have all agreed that it is a national emergency, our trade deficits and our lack of critical supply chains here at home. It's just President Trump was the first president to actually act on it, to restore that wealth and that prosperity to the United States of America. And it's very unfortunate that the courts are now blocking his attempts to do that.
Has the administration then reached the point where you are actually asking your economic advisors to start reviewing other avenues to implement the president's trade policy, or do you want to just see this legal process take place for now?
We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We are doing both. Josh.
Now, that's an important answer that she did there. And I want to kind of correlate it to what happened under Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre, that whole debacle. Do y'all remember the student loan debt forgiveness plan that they were trying to impose? And the same exact type of questions were being proposed to the Biden administration regarding that. They said, well, we don't think you have the authority to do this. So what's your plan B? And they didn't have a plan B. They legitimately said, no, we think that we have the authority. We have no plan B. Where at least Caroline's going, hey, we think we have the power, but we're going to walk and chew gum at the same time. And we do have other plan Bs into effect, and we'll utilize those if we have to, but we don't think we do. That is a good answer and an answer you want to give. Now, the plan B could have been a follow-up, but it doesn't really need to be. But we'll see. If you're confused by what's happening here, again, because some people kind of dropped in a little bit later, is the courts said, hey, you know what? You don't have the authority to do this. Like, you're not allowed to do it. But then they came back and said, hey, you know what? Just kidding. Through the appeal, we're going to allow the tariffs to still remain in place due to the appeals court stay. So during this, The court said, hey, you know what? You can't do the tariffs. And then after this White House press briefing, they came back and said, just kidding. Oh, shit. Well, we're going to figure this out June 9th. We'll figure it out.
The Fed says the president met with the Fed chair earlier today. I'm wondering if you can give us any readout of that meeting. The Fed also says that they discussed the economy. I imagine the president might have shared views on rates as well, but what can you
Sure.
share with us?
I can share with you that we saw, the president and I both saw the statement that the Fed put out after the meeting. That statement is correct. However, the president did say that he believes the Fed chair is making a mistake by not lowering interest rates, which is putting us at an economic disadvantage to China and other countries. And the president's been very vocal about that, both publicly and now I can reveal privately as well.
Did he speak at all about his plans for that position, but whether he would seek to move Jay Powell out of that position or keep him in until his term ends?
No.
Okay.
God, how many, I hate to say it, folks, but these people ask the same questions every week, whether it's in this formatting or it's in another formatting. I mean, how many times have we heard, is he going to get rid of Jay Powell? Is he going to remove JP? He doesn't like JP. Is there conversations? We're hearing from anonymous sources that he's going to get rid of it. It's like, it's tiring, man. It's tiring. How many times do we have to hear this administration give the same answers to the same questions? Maybe I'm so involved into all this that I am up to date with what's going on and he's not. I don't know.
Kristen.
Ask very quickly on the tariff question. You mentioned Section 232 earlier. Are you suggesting that you might sort of speed up some of the existing 232 investigations? Or are you talking potentially using 232 as a replacement power if this ruling doesn't go your way? Of course, you hope it does.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just simply stating the fact that the president has other legal authorities he can use to implement tariffs, and the administration is willing to use those. As you know, we already have applied Section 232 tariffs on specific industries.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
President Trump said that he needed 1.5 to 2 weeks to determine whether or not he believed Vladimir Putin wanted peace. He has been in office now for 4 months. What does he believe is going to happen in the next 1.5 to 2 weeks that would change his opinion?
Usually this is CNN in this seat. By the way, I love the camera view. It's nice that they finally give us a fisheye lens that lets us see everybody. Let me see you bastards. All right, I want to see who's in this room here. Let's see.
Well, it is my understanding and it is our hope that Russia and Ukraine will engage in direct talks and negotiations next week in Istanbul. And we believe that meeting is going to take place. And that is a meeting the president encouraged and urged for these two sides to come together and negotiate directly. And the president has been clear from the very beginning of this conflict that he wants to see this conflict solved on the negotiating table, not on the battlefield. And he's told that to both leaders, again, both publicly and privately. So hopefully next week it will move the ball forward in this.
Is the United States going to participate in those conversations?
We will let you know if the president plans to send a representative. I'm not tracking that at this time. Kelly in the back.
Thanks, Caroline.
Sure.
It's actually, I'll give it. Oh boy, it's hard to say, isn't it? It's like it's not easy for me to say this, but let's give, if it in fact, because sometimes they switch the seating around. Usually this is CNN right here. If it is CNN, hold on, I'm getting cotton mouthed thinking about it. They did a good job. Okay, I said it. Can't believe it. Actually, not a bad question. Not a bad question. Wasn't a-holes about it. Hey, are we going to be involved in these peace talks? Trump gave him 2 weeks. Like, what's really going on with it? I'll give credit where, look, I'm fair. I am fair. Credit where credit's due. I don't like CNN. They're garbage and fake news. But good question.
I wanted to just clarify once and for all the Qatar.
I told you, I called balls and strikes.
Jet, the sale or the gift, because the Qatari government is asking the U.S. to clarify that the jet's pending transfer was initiated by the Trump administration. So is this something that the White House is going to do?
The amount of questions we've received, and we've been incredibly clear, and I have answered this, the president has answered this, the Department of Defense has answered this. This is a government-to-government gift transfer from the Qataris to the Department of Defense, to the United States Air Force. It is now in their hands, and for further details on where that stands, I would defer you to the Department of Defense and the United States Air Force. I have nothing more for you on that. Deanna.
Thanks, Caroline. 2 questions, one on Big Beautiful Bill, one on immigration.
Sure.
Yesterday, Trump said We will be negotiating that bill, and I'm not happy about certain aspects of it, but I'm thrilled by other aspects of it. Wondering if you could, share any specifics on that. And on immigration, do you know how many illegal migrants have taken Trump's voucher program so far and have deported themselves?
I believe it's in the thousands of those who have chosen the easier route of self-deportation, and we certainly encourage all illegal aliens who are present within our homeland to take that option. It's a much more pleasant option than being deported, and we will deport you if you're here illegally. That's our intention. As for the first question, what the president was speaking about is how this is a great bill. However, it has come as a result of a hard negotiation. It's difficult to get things done on Capitol Hill, but thanks to President Trump, this bill is moving in the right direction. And thanks to House Republicans and the leadership over there as well, who did a great job mediating both sides of the caucus to move this bill to the Senate. And now the president, again, has told his friends on the Senate side and is already engaged in those conversations to get that bill back to his desk as soon as possible. Sure.
Has this administration been briefed about the incident that happened in Gaza on Tuesday during the rollout of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation distribution of aid to Palestinians there? And should there be a ceasefire, will this administration continue to rely on this foundation for the distribution of aid to civilians?
Are you referring, what incident are you referring to?
On Tuesday,
when the aid was rolled out to Gaza for the first time in many months, and meals and food was given to hungry people, thanks to President Trump. Yes, we were briefed on that plan. The president was the reason that aid went into Gaza, and he got the Israelis to support that plan. And I would add that the previous administration rejected such a plan to ensure that these starving and devastated people in the Gaza Strip were given humanitarian aid and assistance. And it was the previous administration that tried to build this pier, if you all remember it. It was brought to my attention this morning, and I thought that's a good point. Why don't
He was ready! Yes!
I bring that up because there's been so much criticism. In fact, it was on the front page of a newspaper this morning about the criticism for this president having a humanitarian heart and giving people badly needed food and supplies. Nobody wanted to talk about how the previous administration failed in that endeavor. They built this pier that cost $230 million. It lasted about 20 days, and more than 60 U.S. service members were injured, as a part of this floating aid pier that did nothing for the people of Gaza. The president is opening up his humanitarian heart to get aid into the region while his team simultaneously negotiates a ceasefire and the return of all hostages. We are moving the ball forward in a positive direction for all people. The president wants to see peace for all people. Jeff.
But Caroline, are you gonna address the Palestinian that stubbed his toe while he had to wait in line for the free food? Will you address that for us, please? Now, I really don't know what incident she's talking about, but you gotta love just the media here not giving a flying fuck that Trump just gave like 240,000 meals or whatever it was. It was we covered it. We covered that specific story of him feeding all these people. We actually got aid in there. When the fucking there's an incident. Like, give me a fucking break, man. Why not ask, hey, how does the morale feel in the White House after Donald Trump was finally able to get food into Gaza and make sure people are able to stay alive? Is that a really big morale booster for everybody? Because I feel like it has to be. Why can't that be a question? I understand it's a layup of a question, but these are the same nut jobs that asked Joe Biden, what's your favorite ice cream? Do you tie your own shoes? Do you have your diaper on today?
Jasmine.
Thanks so much, Caroline. A notice investigation found that the Hallmark Maha Commission report that was released last week cites studies that appear to not exist. We know that because in part we reached out to some of the listed authors who said that they didn't write the studies cited. So I want to ask, does the White House have confidence that the information coming from HHS can be trusted?
Yes, we have complete confidence in Secretary Kennedy and his team at HHS. I understand there were some formatting issues with the Maha report that are being addressed, and the report will be updated, but it does not negate the substance of the report, which, as you know, is one of the most transformative health reports that has ever been released by the federal government, and is backed on good science that has never been recognized by the federal government.
And a quick Follow-up, can you talk about what tools or research goes into production of these kinds of reports? For instance, is it AI that's used to put together these reports now?
I can't speak to that. I would defer you to the Department of Health and Human Services. What I know is just what I told you. Lindsay.
Thank you, Caroline. Many small businesses that we've talked to since the tariffs have been in place have said what would really help them is a long-term plan so that they can catch up. In light of what's happened now, this trade war with the courts, how will that impact this 90-day window? Will you guys be adjusting that? And how can you help relieve some of these small businesses?
Well, I would say nobody understands the needs of business owners, and nobody has the backs of our small business community more than President Donald J. Trump. He believes, I've heard him talk about this with small business owners himself, that small businesses are truly the backbone of our American economy. And that's why the president is supporting the One Big Beautiful Bill. So for those you spoke to who are asking for a long-term plan, big tax cuts are coming their way. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime for their workers, more money in their pockets. Their bottom lines will be larger. They can pay their people more. Wages are going to go up. Inflation will continue to come down. We've already seen energy prices plummeting as a result of this president's economic and energy agenda that he has been implementing across the federal government, reducing burdensome regulation. All of that is good news for small business owners across the country. That's why they strongly support the president, and that's the Trump economic plan that is underway. And again, you're emphasizing, I believe, the need to pass the One Big Beautiful Bill, and the president wants to see that happen. Sure.
Will you still work within that 90-day window for these trade negotiations? Does that still stand?
Again, as far as we're concerned, our trade agenda is moving forward, and we've already heard from countries around the world today who will continue to negotiate in good faith with the United States so we can cut good trade deals on behalf of the American people, and we fully expect to win this case in court. Sure.
On Golden Dome, the president put out this number of $61 billion. How did he arrive at that? Is that the number it will cost to protect Canada, and is it negotiable, or where did it come from?
I can certainly ask the president, and I can check in with our research team, and we'll get you the facts on that number. But the Golden Dome is certainly a significant investment in our nation's national security and homeland security to protect Americans, all of you in this room, from future threats.
Any readout on, have the Canadians been talking in good faith about paying to be in it? I know they've expressed some interest.
Well, the president has certainly expressed to the Canadians how we are essentially subsidizing their national defense. He brought it up in his meeting with their new leader here, and as you know, we'll be traveling to Canada next month for the G7, so I expect that topic of discussion to come up on that trip as well. Sure.
You know what? After how the Canadians treated us, fuck them. No. No. They don't get any of this. I don't want any of their money. They want to act like their dick is big. Then you know what? Well, let's see. Let's see when shit hits the fan. What happens there? We'll be fine. Yeah, well, we'll take out our intercontinental ballistic missiles that are flying over us, but there's 5 of them flying right over Canada. Let's see them shoot their maple syrup bullshit leftist propaganda at that ICBM that's gonna fucking wipe out millions of people. No, fuck that shit. I don't mean to cuss, but dude, I'm so fucking tired of these other countries talking shit about us all the time. Allow them to figure out their own bullshit. Fucking pussies, man. I really am. And now's the time to say it on Dark MAGA. Fuck those guys. They talk a lot of shit for a country that doesn't do jack shit for anybody else. I'm so tired of it. Allow them to figure out their own fucking shit. I don't want their money. I don't care if they're going to pay for it. Pay for their own damn defense system. They're so high and mighty, aren't they? Needed to be said. I feel better. Yes, I do. Thank you for asking, even though nobody did.
Sure.
Hey, thanks, Caroline. There was a May Day USA rally in Seattle that happened over the weekend that devolved into some protests and riots.
We watched the video clips of the Antifa getting arrested. It was phenomenal. It was so fun to watch. I loved it. Just really burying their freaking face into the mud. You little shit. You want to talk shit?
The Seattle Mayor Harrell said that it was a far-right rally held here to provoke a reaction by promoting beliefs that are inherently opposed to our city's values, which he defined as LGBT values. I know the FBI is looking into this, but has the president reached out to the mayor at all asked him to apologize for this. And is this
Oh,
something that
God.
the administration would consider an example of anti-Christian bias?
I'm not aware of that case. I know the FBI is looking into it, but I'm not aware of the any phone calls the president may or may not have made to the mayor of that city.
And then on Doge, we know that Elon Musk is leaving. Do you have an updated leadership structure for who is leading the group? Is Russ Vought involved? And what is its new mission now, if any?
Well, the entire cabinet is involved, and I spoke to the president about it this morning, and the entire cabinet understands the need to cut government waste, fraud, and abuse, and each cabinet secretary at their respective agencies is committed to that. That's why they were working hand in hand with Elon Musk, and they'll continue to work with the respective Doge employees who have onboarded as political appointees at all of these agencies. So surely the mission of Doge will continue, and many Doge employees are now political appointees and employees of our government, and to the best of my knowledge, all of them intend to stay and continue this important work.
Is there a Doge leader taking the place of Mr. Musk?
Well, again, the Doge leaders are each and every member of the president's cabinet and the president himself, who is wholeheartedly committed to cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from our government. Michael.
Caroline, there's conflicting reports out of the Middle East right now. Saudi television network Al Arabia is saying that Israel and Hamas have agreed to a 60-day ceasefire. Sources with Hamas are saying that has not been agreed to. If and when that does happen, will we expect to hear something from President Trump announcing that?
As I said earlier, yes, indeed. If there is an announcement to be made, it will come from the White House, the president, myself, or Special Envoy Witkoff.
Caroline, one big beautiful bill. The president says he's not happy with all aspects of it. What changes would he like to see be made, and can this bill be both big and beautiful?
It is a one big beautiful bill, as the name rings true, and the president, as I said, is currently working with his friends in the Senate who have some recommendations for the bill. Those negotiations and discussions are continuing, but the president's ultimate priority is to get this bill back to his desk for signature. And the president's priorities in this bill are non-negotiable in terms of the tax priorities he wants to see and the large tax cuts in the border investments that are currently in this bill. He is not going to allow them to go away for the American people. Sure, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about as the president spoke.
I thought she was going to call on Phil. Phil got excited. This is what I want. I wish I could zoom in for you, but Phil's one of the greats right here of Real Clear Politics. I want you to see the excitement and then the utter disappointment all in the span of 2 seconds on Phil's face. Okay, I could do this because Phil likes us, and I like Phil. Again, if you missed what I just said, you're going to, in real time, see the excitement and then disappointment in the span of a blink of an eye. Check this out.
Sure, go ahead.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about has the president spoken to any of these foreign leaders about
Oh, Phil, if you see this, you know I love you. I'm fucking with you, but
these agreements that have been reached, specifically the case of the United Kingdom that is already has an agreement in place after this decision of the court in New York?
Has the president talked to foreign leaders about what?
About the court decision in New York.
Which court decision in New York?
The trade court.
Oh, the trade court decision. He did speak to the leader of Japan this morning, and he said that was a very good call and a good discussion. And as I said, the president's cabinet, Secretary Lutnick, Secretary Bessent, and Ambassador Jameson Greer have all been in touch with their counterparts in countries around the world to let them know the United States will still be at the negotiating table, and we still expect countries around the world to treat us fairly. Again, I will just close by saying that how ridiculous it is that we've been ripped off. Our middle class has been hollowed out. Our manufacturing base has left and gone overseas. Jobs have been offshored. And now no court did anything about that. No court did anything about hundreds of thousands of people being put out of work, about thousands of factories being closed down, about our deficits going to dangerous levels, as the New York Times has said. But now a court is trying to stop a president from trying to correct those wrongs of the past. And this administration will continue to do that. It's a promise the president made to the American people, and it's a promise they elected him on. We will win this battle in court, and the president will implement his America First trade policies. Thank you, everyone.
with the U.S. Steel situation tomorrow?
I can tell you the president greatly looks forward to going to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where he will discuss this historic deal and discuss American jobs and American steel, and we hope to see you all there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Caroline.
That sounded like Phil asking that question at the end, but normally he wouldn't be the one to shout stuff out like that, but, you know, hey. He felt maybe disrespected, and I think Phil should always get a question. He's one of the best reporters in the room, and it's just sad to see that things weren't really happening that way. It looks like Tom Homan was on the White House lawn today. Let's go to that really quick. I always want to rip Tom a new asshole. Now, that doesn't make sense to a lot of people on X, and for those that are just joining us, but it's out there in the open that I'm not happy with Tom Homan as of right now. I'm glad that he's doing what he's doing, but not meeting my expectations. I feel like I have to say that every chance I get. But here he is today on the White House lawn. Let's see what the man has to say. By the way, shout out to everybody over at X watching us. That's pretty awesome. And again, I just want to say thank you. We're not going anywhere yet. We will soon, but just want to say thank you to everybody that's always been supporting the show. You guys, I just want to mention, if you're not following me on Twitter, you have to be following me. I have done 2 videos, and one of the videos has 53,000 views. That was like 2 days ago. The one I made yesterday has 55,000 views on TikTok. If you guys aren't following me over there, man, I'm telling you, we are freaking popping off right now. And it's something you don't want to miss. And I would try to show it to you. I don't know if I can, if you could see that. Let's see. No, it doesn't show. Well, anywho, you just got to believe me. Or you can head over there and look for yourself. But damn. Brad, leave Tom alone. No, I'm not. I'm not happy. I get to be not happy about some things. Brad, are you doing any TikTok? Not any TikTok debates as of scheduled now, but maybe we'll see. I get a little feisty. I don't know. It's just not healthy. It's just not healthy. I try to, something you guys don't know about me is you obviously see a really silly entertainment side of me. You guys obviously know it's not my real personality. You guys know this. I'm an introvert. This is not who I am in real life. You only see one specific side of me. I am nothing like this outside of doing the show. I'm quiet. I'm reserved. I don't like a lot of confrontation. I mean, I'll call people's bullshit out when I get hyped up, but I don't even know where I was going with that. Kidding. No, I know exactly where I was going with that. A Joe Biden moment. But I do get frustrated with Tom Homan on the stuff here, but he is not doing enough. In regards to the TikTok stuff, I try to do everything in moderation, and I think it's important to unplug every now and then. And so when I'm done doing the show and I'm not show prepping, I try to remove myself from politics altogether. So I'm very good at absorbing a ton of information really quickly and understanding it, which I guess plays a benefit into doing the show. But I have found that TikTok and debating people, if it's not in the form of being a good faith conversation, I find it very slimy and evil and dirty. Like I'm basically playing in mud, and it just rubs me. I just don't like that. You know what I mean? So I can only do so much debates and dealing with stupid ass people all the time. And I think it's important to recognize when it's starting to affect your personality and your mood, and it's making you feel negative or, gross and, just mentally weird. I think you got to know when to unplug certain things in your life. And hopefully the Bald Brad show doesn't do that to you. My hope is that this can there's a reason why I act animated and stupid and silly, is because I want you guys to find politics as being fun and silly. Of course, there's a serious undertone to it, but I don't want it to be a place where it's like always negative news. And if it is negative, then maybe we can have a little bit of fun. You know what I mean? And kind of lighten the mood a little bit, even if it's a serious topic. Brad, stop bragging. I'm going to brag. It's hard work, baby. All right, here we go. Tommy.
Assaults on ICE officers are high. The doxing of ICE officers are at an all-time high. And people always complain, some of you here say, why are they wearing masks? Because they're trying to protect themselves and their families. They got a dangerous job to do, and they're being doxed every day across this country. I've experienced myself 100 times, but I'm willing to take that because of the position I hold. And, we're not running a popularity contest. We're trying to enforce the laws enacted by Congress, doing it in a smart, effective way. So, yeah, the results are up, but it won't be tolerated. We've already shown you put a hands on an ICE officer, you can be prosecuted to the highest extents of the law. So We're not playing with that with any threats against ICE officers. Doxing, we're going to look at doxing. We're going to take action on that also.
I think he will. You know, again, I just want to see more planes flying across the air. Here he is again on Fox doing an interview. And, well, here we go.
The most secure border in the history of this nation right now because of President Trump and his leadership. President Trump's a game changer. Like him or love him, no one's been more successful in securing the border than President Trump. Unprecedented success. But right now, we're seeking the millions of illegal aliens in this country illegally, many of them public safety threats that the Biden administration released in the country without proper vetting. Look, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of angel moms and dads, which is, you had this discussion before. Why do I take this job so seriously? Why do I get emotional and lose my temper in front of Congress or on
fucking guy, you have it. Look, I can't. I'm going to tread lightly here. I'm going to tread so lightly. Hold on, give me a second, please. I have a point to make. I can't believe it just happened. Fucking, where is it? All right, hold on a second. All right, there it is. Now, there's a stereotype out there, okay? I live in California. There's a stereotype that Hispanics tend to be the ones that mow people's lawns. Okay? It's also the stereotype that a lot of people that came here illegally are the Hispanics and Mexicans. All I'm pointing out is the fact that you have the dude that's deporting a bunch of Mexicans and there's a dude mowing the fucking lawn right behind him during an interview. It's just
proper vetting. Look, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of angel moms and dads, which is, you had this discussion before. Why do I take this job so seriously? Why do I get emotional and lose my temper in front of Congress or on news stations? Because I'm sick and tired of meeting angel moms and dads who buried their children because they were killed by illegal aliens that shouldn't be here. Under Biden administration, we have proven that they released public safety threats into the community, knowing they were a public safety threat. Secretary Mayorkas stood on TV how many times saying everybody's property vetted before they're released, and we found out that wasn't true. Men and women of the Border Patrol had one instruction: process quick, release quick, because there's no overcrowding here. There's nothing to see, and there's no border issue. So these people are processed so quickly, it can't possibly run their criminal history. Plus we don't have access to criminal history of people from Venezuela and El Salvador and these other countries. So Secretary Mayorkas lied to the American people, the Biden administration lied to American people, and we're trying to fix the problem. There are a lot of public safety threats in this country. 600,000, an estimate right now, 600,000 illegal aliens with criminal convictions walking the streets of this country. That's why we need this big, beautiful bill passed, so we can put the resources out there in the streets to take these people off the streets and deport them to this country just as soon as we can.
On that bill. All righty. Now we got some Epstein news for all of you. And it's quite surprising because people are really ripping Dan Bongino a new one right now regarding this. So I'm going to play the clip because I haven't seen it. Mind you, this is one clip of many from Dan Bongino talking about Jeffrey Epstein. I am a huge fan of Dan Bongino. And then I'm going to show you the article that was just published a couple hours ago, maybe 2 hours ago, about video that they're going to release allegedly of Jeffrey Epstein either offing himself in prison or at least the prison tape. So we'll get to that in just one moment here. But here is what people are posting about Dan Bongino online. Let's at least see what they're saying.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
He killed himself. You want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
This is what the left is saying about Dan. This is what they have to say. I thought there was going to be something bigger than this. This is what these idiots have to say about Dan. Blink twice if they've threatened you and your family because he said that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. The question would be, how did he get all those suits inside of the prison cell? I mean, I showed you guys the pictures of the prison cell. Do we need to go back to those photos really quick? We might as well. Here we go. We got time. That's what this is all about. Epstein prison photo. So I should probably put prison cell, but this does the work. Folks, look how many. Really? How is that normal? How is this normal? This many? Like, really? So the part that's being played out through people that are conspiracy theories, and mind you, I love a good conspiracy theory. It doesn't mean I believe in everything. I mean, hell, that's why we do the show, is that the only way his neck could have been broken was not by suicide, but by somebody, basically breaking it for him in a way. Now, here is what was just released. It's right here. Let me get this up for you guys. Here we go. Now, I haven't read this myself, but FBI says video proves Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide and it will release footage soon. Damn. FBI Director Dan Bongino, and look, I'm as much of the Dan Bongino army as anybody else, said Thursday, May 29th, that he plans to release prison video of Jeffrey Epstein that confirms the billionaire financier and convicted sex offender killed himself. Now, I'm reaching back in my memory, and maybe some people that are really into this stuff can correct me. I thought the cameras were out. I thought that, that not only were the prison guards sleeping, but I thought and was told that I thought they couldn't get the footage because not only were the prison guards sleeping, but also the cameras were out, the logs weren't updated, right? Basically, everything fell through the cracks. So are we going to get good video here then of this guy swaying back and forth from the ceiling? There is video, Bongino told Fox and Friends. You're going to see there is no one there but him. There is video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. Huh. Doesn't make sense to me. Epstein, 66, was found hanging inside a jail cell in New York City on the morning of 2019, where he was awaiting trial, blah, blah, blah. His death was ruled suicide. Despite this, conspiracy theorists have long believed that he did not end his life, maintaining that Epstein was murder. Death was a murder. I say to people, if you have a tip, let us know, Bongino, a former conservative talk show host. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. Bongino said his office was working on cleaning up the video. There is going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We will give the original so you don't think there are any shenanigans. When asked if the video would include Epstein killing himself, Bongino responded that the video doesn't show the actual act. Well, that doesn't, look, man, I don't mean to be an asshole, but that doesn't really help anybody then. If you're going to show me a video of this guy walking around the cell, that doesn't do anything for anybody. So I'll be honest, I'm a little confused here myself. Anybody in the chat want to try to clear this one up for me, why Dan needs to show us video of Jeffrey Epstein walking around a fucking cell by himself? I'm not hounding Dan. Please understand that. I just don't know I'm missing something here. I don't need to see a video of the guy in the cell. I believe he was in there. I need to see the guy, if you have it, tightening up the rope himself, just doing the whole, bit and hanging, just fucking pulling. Right, taking a deep breath. I don't want to act it out, but, hell. Epstein was accused of molesting teenage girls, blah, blah, blah. Many alleged victims spoke. Okay, well, nobody's been arrested. Nothing's been done. We'll see. regarding all of that. Again, Dan Bongino was doing an interview. Let's see if we can pull up some of that interview here and see what the man has to say. This doesn't change my opinion about Dan Bongino in the slightest. I think the guy is great, but let's see if we can find this here. Here we go. Here's a clip.
Those two cases obviously are of significant public interest. I'm just telling you what we see in the file. I just want to be crystal clear on this. I am not asking anyone to believe me. I'm telling you what's there and what isn't. Right. There is nothing in the file at this point on the Epstein case, and there's going to be a disclosure on this coming shortly. We are working through there is video. That is something the public does not.
There's video of him killing himself.
No, not the actual act, but the entire MCC Bay. It was only one camera. There were there's video that when you look at the video, and we will release. That's what's taken a while on this. We are working on cleaning it up to make sure you have an enhanced, and we're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans. You're going to see there's no one there but him. Right. There's just nobody there. So I say to people all the time, if you have a tip, let us know. But there's no DNA, there's no audio, there's no fingerprints, there's no suspects, there's no accomplices, there's no tips, there is nothing. If you have it, I'm happy to see it. There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
So it's rough. It's rough. It doesn't mean anything, though. You know, it doesn't. Like, I don't think anybody's disputing the guy was in the cell by himself. But with everything that's happened surrounding it, I mean, look, if somebody was a professional, I could see them pulling it off. I don't know, folks. I don't know. It's not looking good for us, is what I'm saying. Now, I didn't vote for Donald Trump for the Epstein stuff. It was kind of like the cherry on the top. My big thing was illegal immigration and getting that Doge in, which I kind of got what I wanted. But well, we'll see. It's not looking hopeful, though. And I don't know if Dan is talking like this because he's in a different role. And when he is law enforcement only deals with very specific facts. You know, he's not, if you notice, he's not giving his opinion there. He's not saying, well, I still think I think somebody did it. You know, I think somebody came in and murdered the guy. What he's saying is there's a file. I looked at the file. Based on that file, the facts are, here's what it is. And that's what law enforcement does. They don't deal, or they shouldn't be dealing with, well, I fucking think that this guy, you know, painted his toenails before he decided to delete himself in the jail cell. You know, that's just the new role that he's in, and that's the way he's going to handle it. So, like, we still got 3.5 years. We're going to see what comes of it, but, well, that's it nonetheless. What flavor ice cream do you all like? I like vanilla, to be honest. I'm a plain Jane, man. I love just the taste of vanilla. I'm like that with a lot of things. If you're going to give me something, I want to be able to taste it. That's why I drink my coffee black, is I like just to be able to taste stuff. Like, I think it's a criminal act to put A1 steak sauce on a nice filet mignon steak, you know? I think it takes away from the flavor. That's just me, though. I'm different. And, you know, speaking of the beard, somebody said I need to dye. I do need to start. Maybe I should just ferment it. You guys see that? I'm getting gray, man. What the fuck? You guys are stressing me out. You're stressing me out. Enough. Can I ask you guys really quick? Does anybody like get not nervous, not scared, but like, do I jump scare you when I just when I start randomly yelling in the mic? Does that like startle anybody? There's the word, startled. Do you get startled when I just am talking so kind, like, yeah, you know, special government employees, blah, 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 fucking get out of here. Like, does anybody get startled when I do that? Let me know. Because it'd be kind of funny just seeing you, like, you're at work like this, right? Listening to me with headphones on, just fucking shit. What the fuck? And then your coworker's like, Jesus, what the hell's wrong with you? Brad scares me. All right, that's good. Good. Because I'm going to try to scare you guys. One thing I'm going to do here really quickly is I'm going to link our second channel. If I can go to it. And it's called Spooky Adventures. If you can go over and subscribe, what I'm going to do this summer is I'm going to try to put a little bit more time into trying to get this channel up and running the Spooky Adventures channel. If you're not familiar, we do have a second channel where we explore the paranormal, the unexplained, and the supernatural. And look, we have a hell of a good time doing it. And I want to get this channel up and running and going. So I'm going to spend more time creating shorts and editing old clips into shorts and stuff like that. But I want to put more time doing some videos into this more than just once a week. So if you follow me over there and you have a good time with this type of stuff, don't subscribe just because you're a fan of the Bald Brad Show. This is nothing political over here. It's just merely exploring the paranormal, the supernatural, and stuff like that, and trying to figure this whole thing out. And trying to see, can we find those needle in the haystack videos that give credibility and credence to a supernatural realm? We'll be doing more long-form investigations, kind of like Jason Haas's investigation here, which, by the way, if you're not aware of him from Ghost Hunters, he hit us up, which is freaking awesome, which is kind of dope. He was in the comment section. But anywho, I think we'll cut it there. Thank you to everybody that joins me over here for Dark Maga. We'll be live here tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Bald Brad Show. If you're new over at X, follow me over there. But we go live every single morning where we go over a bunch of different news. And we'll see what's kind of going on in the world. And we'll definitely be covering the Donald Trump tariffs again. I'll kind of rehash that out for everybody tomorrow morning for those that weren't here. But we'll also dive into different stuff as well. We'll see what's going on with Russia, maybe potentially bombing Germany, which is what we called out on TikTok, which is blowing up. Follow me on TikTok as well. We got a book, we got merchandise, all those things. So with that being said, take care of yourselves. Brad, do you cover missing person cases or unsolved disappearances? I don't, but I know a channel that does, that's really good at stuff like that. And I've thought about doing it. The problem is trying to find a camera person and mics and stuff, but we'll see. We will see. With that being said, take care of each other. I will see you in like 12 hours, my friends. Thank you for always being great and just allow me to enjoy spending time with you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Patriots. Take care. Should we raid somebody? Nah, we'll do it tomorrow. Take care.